Hello, my name is Devin Robaina, and this is my Week 3 pitch. Have you ever played a cover-based shooter and wanted to get to that really great spot of cover, but the enemies won't let up for you to get there? What if you had the ability to just teleport there? Well, the game I would like to work on is intended to allow players to do just that and more. The game is a single-player game with the view of a third-person, over-the-shoulder, cover-based shooter similar to that of Gears of War, ReCore, and The Division. Here you can see some examples of these games which have view styles close to those I envision having in the game. The game will be most similar to that of Gears of War with its tight view and reticle for aimed and accurate fire like on the bottom left, with a distant camera and no reticle for hip and blind fire like on the top right. The game takes place in a dystopian future where the player is a vigilante in a city like that of the old-school Blade Runner or Deus Ex Mankind Divided, using simplistic additions to the present day to create a more futuristic feel and design. The player will be fighting the government's mercenaries while on their way to defeat the leader, who are armed to the teeth with guns but don't have any of the high-tech gadgets the player has developed for themselves. They are intended to look like the police and augmented terrorists from Deus Ex Mankind Divided to fit the futuristic dystopian feel. The player will only be able to have 2 portals placed at a time, with each acting as a doorway to the other. The destroy ability will allow the player to fire a projectile at an object, and once it hits the object will be destroyed. So if the player were to hit a cover object, the object would be deleted. While the force teleport ability will take whatever the fired projectile hits and move it to a random nearby location. So if the player were to shoot an enemy's gun, the gun would be teleported to a random nearby location, and the enemy will have to go find it before continuing to fight. Finally, the black hole can be fired at an object and compress it into an unstable black hole that sucks in and destroys any movable objects near them before collapsing. All of the abilities will have cooldowns while in combat, but will not outside of combat, so players won't be stuck waiting for a timer to tick down while trying to solve puzzles using the mechanics. The player will have to be cautious with their abilities in combat, as they can help or hinder. With portals, for example, enemies can't place them, but they can walk or shoot through them just as easily as the player can. The game will have usual cover-based shooter mechanics and will mix these with the abilities for new and interesting opportunities for combat. In these diagrams, the player is shown pinned down by some enemies. On the left, the player is seen throwing a teleportation grenade, which is shown by the arced arrow, and when it hits the ground, the player is moved to the location the grenade hit. This allows the player to flank the enemies to take them out quickly and easily. In the example on the right, the player fires a portal next to themselves, shown by the orange triangle, then fires another behind the enemies so they are able to toss a grenade through the portals to the enemy's feet without having to get out of cover for an extended period of time and run the risk of dying. The goal of the game is for the player to fight through the town, fending off the mercenaries protecting the leader so they are able to reach the leader and remove them from power to free the people. The ability mechanics will be used for areas containing platforming to help the players climb through the buildings and towers to reach points of interest or traverse the environment. Platforming puzzles will be put into the game to add areas of rest to the gameplay while still keeping the game interesting for the player. In the diagram, you can see the player teleport themselves with a grenade up the first 2 ledges, then fire one portal through the gap in the wall, jump back down, and fire another portal for them to walk through to allow them to get to the other side and progress. The game is meant to have the same view of Gears of War, ReCore, or The Division, the portal and puzzle concepts of the Portal games, and the environment that reflects the feel of Deus Ex and Blade Runner. This game is different because it brings the concepts of that, like thinking with portals, from puzzle solving to combat, yet can also take every combat encounter and make it into a puzzle of its own. The mechanics are also intended to be tweaked, like the addition of instant teleportation, destroy, and the black hole, so that the game won't feel like a ripoff of existing games and instead take those games' mechanics and blend them into a new and unique game of its own. I feel this will take a lot of time to get feeling right, but I am currently working on creating a functioning portal system which has the basic functionality complete. I have made sure most of the mechanics are based off of concepts that I already understand how to implement and develop, or have a solid foundation to build off of. I plan to have these base functionality of these mechanics completed before the capstone begins so that we can focus our time on cleaning the mechanics rather than building them from scratch. Thank you very much for your time and have a great day.